English Elite Podcast.
You know that specific feeling when you're standing on the high dive at the local pool?
Oh, I know it well.
Your toes are curled over the edge of that scratchy board. You're looking down at the water, and you know, logically, that you know how to swim.
The water's deep enough. The lifeguard is right there.
Everything is fine, but your brain just hits the emergency brake. You freeze.
That paralysis, it's almost a physical thing, isn't it?
It is visceral. Yeah, it's in your gut. Now, take that exact feeling, that locking up of the gears, and just apply it to opening your mouth to speak a new language.
Or writing your first line of code. Or, I don't know, picking up a guitar.
Yes. It's that universal day one terror. Our source material today, it actually calls it being scared, shy, or confused, but I think it's really a specific kind of performance anxiety.
It is. It's the gap between intent and action.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that gap is usually filled with what some psychologists call limbic friction.
Limbic friction. I like that. It sounds exactly like what it feels like, just grinding gears. And that's what we're deconstructing today. We've got this really fascinating piece of source material. It's a scripted blueprint for a day one English learning podcast.
Right. It has two guides, Alex and Sophia, and it's called Daily English, The Secret to Beginner's Success.
And I know what you might be thinking. Wait, I'm not learning English today. I'm just driving to work.
Or at the gym. Yeah. But you should stick with us, because when we dug into this script, we realized it's not really about vocabulary at all. It's a masterclass in the psychology of starting. Well, of starting anything.
It's a roadmap for bypassing that limbic friction. So we're looking at this through the lens of, say, behavioral psychology and skill acquisition. This is about how you hack your own brain to get past what we're calling the perfection trap.
Okay, so let's get into it. The first thing in the script's production notes that just hits you isn't what they say.
No.
It's the environment they built. Before a single word is even taught, it's all about atmosphere.
So specific. Warm, friendly voice, natural human pauses. But what was the detail that you circled?
The one I circled 3 times in red ink. No background music.
That stopped me too, because Podcasting 101 says you need music, right? To keep the energy up, avoid dead air. We use it all the time to set a mood.
Well, so why would they demand silence?
Yeah, why?
Well, it comes down to something called cognitive load theory. When you're a beginner at anything, your working memory is incredibly fragile.
Like a cup that's already full.
Exactly. It's full of anxiety and just the effort of trying to process something new. If you add background music, even if it's relaxing, that's just extra data your brain has to filter out.
So it's noise. Even if it's pretty noise, it's still noise.
It's a competing signal. Think about when you're driving and you get lost. What is the first thing you do?
Turn down the radio immediately.
Exactly. You reduce the auditory input because you need that brain power for navigation. By stripping away the music, the source material is creating this sterile environment. But, and this is so key, it's not clinical sterile.
It's safe sterile.
Yes.
Yes.
It lowers the processing demands so your brain can focus completely on the, in this case, linguistic input.
That makes perfect sense. And you see that safety net in how the characters, Alex and Sophia, are introduced.
Yeah.
The script says Alex should have a warm, friendly tone. And his opening lines are, if you are learning English and sometimes feel scared, shy, or confused, don't worry, you are not alone.
That is a very, very specific tactical choice. He's not saying, welcome to English 101.
No syllabus.
No syllabus. He's starting with emotional validation.
He's just naming the elephant in the room. But is that just about being nice, or is there a function to it?
Oh, it is entirely functional. In educational psychology, there's a concept called the affective filter, proposed by the linguist Stephen Krashen.
Okay, break that down for us. What is the filter?
So imagine a wall between you, the learner, and the information. When you're stressed or anxious or even just bored, that affective filter goes up. The wall gets higher. You can throw the best information in the world at someone, but it'll just bounce off. It never gets to the part of the brain that acquires language because the emotional center is blocking it.
So Alex's only job in that first minute is to lower that wall.
Precisely. If you feel judged, your amygdala, your threat detection center, it activates. And learning just shuts down. You literally cannot learn when you're in fight or flight.
So he's saying, I see your anxiety and it's normal. He deactivates the threat.
And then Sophia comes in. Her tone is gentle and encouraging. It feels like a good cop routine. Alex opens the door, and Sophia kind of holds your hand.
They are building what the source literally calls a safe place. I mean, later, Alex actually says, this podcast is your safe place. No pressure, no fear.
They're explicitly trying to decouple the act of practice from the fear of social judgment.
But that decoupling is so hard. I mean, we are wired to care what other people think. It's evolutionary, right?
We're social animals, of course. Being wrong in a tribe used to mean, death or exile. So we have this deep biological aversion to looking stupid. This script is trying to create a sandbox mode, a simulation where the consequences of failure are just turned off.
Which brings us to the core of the whole thing. The hook of the source is my secret to learn English. Alex asks Sophia, what is your secret?
Yeah, and you're waiting for her to say flashcards or immersion.
Or watch Friends reruns. But her answer is, well, it's deceptively simple.
It is the bumper sticker for the whole philosophy.
Yeah.
Sophia says, my secret is daily English, not perfect English.
Not perfect English. That's the friction point for almost all of us, isn't it? This idea that we shouldn't show our work until it's finished, until it's polished.
That's the perfection trap. We confuse learning with performing. If you're performing, like giving a speech, sure, you want it to be perfect. But if you're learning, perfection is an obstacle. It's a wall.
And Sophia follows up with a line that really hits. Many learners wait to be perfect, but perfect never comes.
It's like waiting for all the traffic lights in the city to be green before you leave your driveway. You will literally never leave.
You'll never leave the house.
And perfect is a moving target anyway. As you get better, your own standard for perfect gets higher. You're just chasing a ghost.
So she's advocating for just shipping the work, speaking the words, long before you feel ready. But this isn't just a motivational poster, right? The script actually pivots to the utility of mistakes.
Right. Sophia says mistakes are part of learning. Now, catch the nuance there. She doesn't say mistakes are okay or unavoidable.
She says they're part of it.
They're a component of the process. This lines up with error-driven learning in neuroscience.
Error-driven learning. Is that different from just trial and error?
It is. Your brain is basically a prediction machine. It's always predicting what happens next. When you make a mistake, say you use the wrong verb tense, there's a mismatch, a gap between your prediction and the feedback.
The error.
That mismatch, that error signal, is what triggers neuroplasticity. It releases neurotransmitters that tell the brain, hey, focus here. Rewire this connection.
So if you don't make the mistake, you don't get the signal to improve.
Exactly. If you don't make mistakes, you aren't triggering that update process. You can study the theory of swimming for 10 years, but until you jump in and swallow a little water, your brain hasn't learned how to float.
I love that. So Sophia gives us a look back at how she actually did this. She says, I spoke slowly. I used simple words. I repeated sentences again and again.
The focus on simple words is just crucial. We see this in almost every high-performance field. Beginners try to be complex to hide their insecurity.
Right. Complexity looks like competence. We think if we use big, jargony words, people won't notice we don't really know what we're talking about.
Yes. But Sophia is arguing for mechanics over aesthetics. Strip it all away. Forget the slang. Focus on the core structure. Can you get the idea across with the simplest tool you have?
It reminds me of musicians. The real virtuosos spend hours just playing simple scales, up and down, while the amateurs are trying to learn a super complex solo before they can even hold the pick, right?
That's the Instagram versus reality of learning a skill.
Yeah.
We see the final complex results, so we try to copy that. But the process to get there was boring and simple and repetitive. Sophia's telling you, be boring, be simple, get the reps in.
And speaking of reps, let's talk about the time commitment, because this is another place we all psych ourselves out. We think, if I can't study for a whole hour, it's not even worth starting.
The all or nothing fallacy. It's such a productivity killer.
And the source material just attacks this head on. Alex says, even 5 or 10 minutes every day is enough.
This is straight out of the habit formation playbook.
Yeah.
James Clear, BJ Fogg. You have to lower the activation energy, make the barrier to entry so low you'd feel silly saying no.
5 minutes. Everyone has 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes while the coffee is brewing.
Exactly. If the goal is study for an hour on a busy day, you'll just skip it. Then the chain is broken. But if the goal is 5 minutes, you can do that. Consistency beats intensity every time. The brain rewires through frequency, not just duration.
Okay, so 5 minutes. What are we doing in those 5 minutes? Sophia lists 3 things. Listen to podcasts, watch short videos, And this is the one I find a little weird. Speak to yourself in English.
Speak to yourself. It sounds almost, I don't know, a little pathetic, doesn't it?
A little bit, or at least really lonely. Why is this a cornerstone of their whole method?
Because it solves the audience problem. We talked about the fear of judgment. Well, if you remove the audience, you remove the judgment.
It's a sandbox inside the sandbox.
Yes. But there's a physiological reason, too. It's called the production effect.
Yeah.
Actually saying words out loud engages your motor cortex, your lips, your tongue, your diaphragm. They have to coordinate. You can't learn that mouthfeel just by listening.
I do this. Before a tough conversation, I'll say the opening line out loud in the car just to see if it fits in my mouth correctly.
That's exactly it. You're testing the phonological loop. You need to hear your own voice making those sounds to convince your brain that you are the kind of person who speaks this language. It bridges the gap between passive understanding and active generation.
It builds your identity.
Yes, if you only listen, you're just training your ears. If you speak, you're training your identity.
And speaking of that, the script shifts gears right here. It goes from advice to active participation. Alex literally stops and says, "Let's try something simple together. Friends, repeat after me."
The interactive part. And look at what he asks the listener to repeat. It's not, "Where is the library?"
No, not functional phrases. They choose, "I am learning English every day." And the second one is, "I am not afraid of mistakes."
They're mantras. They're affirmations.
It feels a little self-help, doesn't it? A little manifesting.
It does, but it's so intentional. They're literally rewriting the user's identity script. There's a huge difference between saying, "I am trying to learn English," and "I am learning English." One is an attempt, the other is a state of being.
And I am not afraid of mistakes. That's a direct assault on that amygdala response we mentioned.
Cognitive behavioral therapy 101. You identify the negative thought, "If I make a mistake, I'm stupid," and you overwrite it with a new narrative. Saying it out loud helps program your brain to tolerate failure.
So they're fixing the mindset before they even touch the grammar.
Because if the mindset is broken, the grammar just won't stick.
This leads to what I think is the intellectual anchor of the entire script. Sophia makes a distinction that I really wish my teachers had made. She says, English is not a subject. English is a skill.
That is the pivot point. Think about how we treat subjects in school. History, math. What do you do with a subject?
You study it, you sit at a desk, you memorize facts for a test.
And then you forget it 2 weeks later. It's declarative knowledge. I know that something happened. It's static. But a skill is procedural knowledge. It's I know how.
Like riding a bike or playing piano.
Exactly. You can't learn to play piano by reading a book about music theory. You can know every chord progression in your head, but until you put your hands on the keys, you're not a pianist. You're just a piano historian.
So when Sophia says English is a skill, she's saying you can't just hoard knowledge about the language. You have to perform the language.
And that's just the whole metric of success. If it's a subject, success is getting the right answer. If it's a skill, success is just doing it a little better than yesterday. It goes from pass-fail to a spectrum of improvement.
That's so liberating. You can't fail a skill the same way you fail a test. You just have a bad practice session.
Right. And you show up again tomorrow. Which brings us to the roadmap they lay out at the end. Alex does some classic future pacing. He tells the listener what's coming, how to speak confidently, how to think in English, how to build daily habits.
Thinking in English. That's the holy grail, isn't it?
It is. It's when you bypass the translation layer in your brain. You're not thinking in your native language and translating back and forth. You're operating directly in the OS of the new language.
It's pretty ambitious to promise that on day one.
It is, but it's necessary. They're showing you the mountaintop. They're saying, look, we're starting with simple words, but we're going there. It gives you the motivation to get through that awkward beginner phase.
And the sign-off is so simple. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. It's a command disguised as a friendly farewell. It reinforces that daily cadence. It's not hope to see you again, it's see you tomorrow. It assumes your success.
So if we zoom out, we have this Alex and Sophia method. Safe environment, no perfection, micro habits, and the shift from subject to skill. How do we apply this to something else? Say I want to learn, I don't know, data science.
The blueprint is identical. Step 1, lower the stakes. Create a safe space where you can mess up without an audience. Don't start by trying to build a complex model for your company.
Start with some ugly code that no one sees.
Exactly. Step 2, embrace being bad at it. The profession trap is just your ego trying to protect you from embarrassment. Just tell your ego to take a walk.
And step 3 is volume over intensity. Don't do a 10-hour coding marathon on a Saturday and then burn out.
Right. Write 5 lines of terrible code every single morning. It's the compound interest of skill acquisition. Small, imperfect actions repeated daily will always compound into mastery.
It really demystifies the whole idea of talent, doesn't it? We see talented people and assume they have some magic gene.
Yeah, but usually they just had a higher tolerance for being bad in private for a really long time. Talent is often just disguised persistence.
Before we wrap, I want to circle back to that one instruction. Speak to yourself. We kind of joked about it, but the more I think about it, the more profound it seems.
It is profound. And I want to leave you with a challenge based on that. The source tells us to speak to ourselves to avoid the fear of judgment, to practice without consequences.
Right. It's the safety net.
Flip that around. If the secret to growth is speaking without fear, ask yourself this. What conversations are you avoiding having with yourself right now just because you don't have the perfect words yet?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that hits a little close to home.
Are you not pitching that new project? Are you not asking for that raise? Are you not having that difficult talk with your partner? Are you putting these things off because you're rehearsing them to death in your head, waiting for the script to be flawless?
Waiting for the perfect English version of our lives.
Exactly. We get stuck in the perfection trap in our careers and relationships, not just when learning a language. So maybe the lesson from Alice and Sophia isn't just about English. Maybe the real secret is to just start talking.
Even if your voice shakes.
Even if the grammar is wrong. Even if you stumble.
Because the only way to get to the perfect version is to plow through the imperfect one first.
We have to start to get good. You don't get good to start.
Stop rehearsing. Start speaking. I think that is the perfect place to leave it. Thank you for this. It's definitely changed how I'm going to approach my own day ones.
My pleasure. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.